Hey, my name is Sam Johnson and I am a voice teacher. I'm going to be reacting to and analyzing this compilation of K-pop idols' best high notes in live performances. Nice. I love how much legato there was in her voice through that. It wasn't like, ha, 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 ha. It was, ah, and it was connected all the way through. By keeping that sense of legato, it helps the vocal cords stay together the same amount no matter where you are in the range. It's possible to do without that kind of legato, but that legato helps everyone, so why not use it? It looked pretty challenging, kind of. You could see how much work there was on his face as he went to it, but at the same time, the resulting sound was actually pretty full. It didn't sound as hard as it looked. I think he might be putting some of that look on. Maybe if he relaxed that, it would be a little bit more of a free and easy sound, but I mean, that was a B flat to a C, and it sounded pretty good. I'm a huge Ailey fan. That was a little under. That was a little bit of too much pressure coming up rather than just letting it sit on top of the pitch. I think that if she relaxed into it just a little bit, it would allow to tune to this higher harmonic and give the ring that makes it sound like it's actually on pitch. It's so close that she can get away with it, and she sounds fine, but I do think that just relaxing a little bit from the top of her head all the way down would help. Oh, I like those harmonies. This is cool. Just listening to the tone of her voice, you can tell that this is sustainable. It doesn't sound hard. It sounds like her vocal cords are not doing very much work, and that makes it sustainable because the vocal cords are really small muscles, and if you put too much strain on them, it's going to be hard to keep going with whatever you're doing that's putting that kind of strain on them. What she's doing, the very second that you hear her, is you hear this thin, not pressured sound. And it's so easy for her to move around. Like, once she's up in that place, I think it's awesome. The difficult part for a lot of people is connecting that voice to the rest of your voice. But, I mean, she sounds like she can just start right up in that place and kill it. And she's able to connect it to that lower part, the da-da-da. She connects it to the bottom because she doesn't make it too big. If she came back and was like, da da da, then the high note wouldn't work as well. But she's just letting it be a really easy low note. Da da da, and then the high note is easy because it was prepared well. Nice vowel. Nice. Yeah, that was a really good vowel choice. He started with just whoa. And what was interesting though was he was looking straight up while he was doing that. I've heard actually that when you're going up, lifting your head slightly can be helpful, but that's a pretty controversial thing, and usually it's just up to here. Up to here, like, most people will say that that's not the greatest head position, but it did sound pretty easy for him. So that's one point where it's like, you have to trust what's easiest for you. If for him it's this for some reason, run with it. Nice. Nice. She held it the whole time at about the same volume. The volume level didn't drop off to something that's really quiet, and it also didn't feel like it had to grow through that entire thing. So because she started it in a really good place, she was able to just hold on to that thing, find stasis all the way through. So that's the key for long notes, is just not making it harder as you go along. Nice. Some people call that sound reinforced falsetto. I think that he just kind of let go. He flipped. It wasn't the same amount of resistance as he had for the lower part of his voice. Flip doesn't have to go to a breathy place. He flipped into a place that was just different. It was a different configuration of air muscle vowel. It sounds good. It sounds pretty strong for what it is, but it doesn't sound like his lower note. I think that in order to get a more consistent sound to the bottom of his voice on that really high part, because that's up to a D sharp, that's pretty high. I mean, that's a high note to have in a full configuration. But I think for him to get there, he would just need to hold on a little bit. It's just a slight feeling of let go that he's having as he flips up to this thing. Maybe sliding up to it would be nice, because then you'd be able to take the amount of chord closure that you have at the bottom, and if you're sliding, you can hold on to it slowly as you move through all of that range. Where if you just jump up to it, it has to readjust, and there's no time for it to make it a slow adjustment. So that's something that I'd work on with him. That being said, it is a totally acceptable sound. I just feel like there are some ways that you can make that sound a little bit more connected to the rest of your voice. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, I like that one. Yeah. Nice. That was good. I love how forward that sound was. I often use a sound to help people get that, of just making a really nasty nay, 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 because then people generally feel it more in their nose or forward. It sounds like she's very, very good at that and knows exactly what it feels like or what her placement is. So now she can just kind of ride in that space, and it's, as she goes higher, instead of lifting higher on that slide up, she just has to lean into that more. And it gives you something to trust, so you can do a lot of cool performance things because you're not so concerned about what your vocal technique is going to do. Cool. Nice, yeah. It's that legato. He finds the place that's good and that's forward, and then he just commits to it for the entire phrase rather than having to reevaluate how he's going to make the sound at every note that increases. So, yeah, he just found what worked really well and then leaned into it super, super far, letting his vocal cords thin out. She kind of slid into it, so she found the place and then she leaned into it. It's generally easier for people to find a balanced place of air and muscle when it's either lower in pitch or lower in volume, or both. What she did was she kind of started it a little bit lower in pitch, and then she slid up to it because she already found what it felt like to feel good at the bottom. She also did a lower volume. That's not a really high volume note, what she was trying to do. So she found that nice, easy, small feeling, leaned into it, and then did this with her face so that it would look like it was harder than it is, because people really like it when it looks like high notes are hard for some reason. Oh, kill it. I love that. Look at how narrow his mouth was. He wasn't like dropping his jaw all the way to his chest. And I do believe that we need to have a little bit of space between the teeth. And so often I'll tell people to drop their jaw. But it's more like that. It's just versus as soon as you start putting all of that effort to open your mouth, it messes things up acoustically. Your resonance can't work in the same way. What he's doing is finding a good place, a good vowel, so good resonance, and then maintaining it rather than on his high notes, changing it and dropping it to oblivion. He doesn't have to do it. That was a really good clip. I like that clip. Nice. Such a pointed sound. It's all the whole vowel that she was using through it. She found if you close your eyes, ignore what she's doing with her face, you'll be able to hear It's that internal narrowness, that feeling of and then it lets you do a little bit more with your mouth. Same thing, The second time through I preferred. It sounded like he thinned out his voice a little bit more. It sounded like it started a little bit more forward and with a little bit more good chord closure, good compression rather than with, I don't know, the first one it was fine, it just seemed a little bit off. I like that second one more. I like how when he went to the high note, to the D sharp, that he started small in volume and then he crescendoed as he went down to help add in a little bit more closure as he went down. Sometimes people get stuck in head voice, especially when you're up at that place. It's super easy to get stuck in head voice. So by getting even more forward and closure and whine as he started going back down, that helped avoid getting stuck in head voice. Yeah. So easy looking. That's nice. That was fine. It's a little bit of pressure. I don't know. That's a hard one to do over and over. I already feel a little bit of tension coming in, so I think it would be nice if he had like a dance break after, or just some other stuff that wasn't right there to calm down after going up to that place. It sounds really cool, but it's not the easiest sound. That's a very easy sound. Yeah. I like her voice. Yeah, it sounds so easy. It sounds pointed immediately the first second that you hear it, and then she doesn't deviate from it. She has a very consistent voice. It's always that A. They're always choosing this A, or whoever is writing these songs is choosing the A, which is, it's high enough that generally the only way to make it good is by mixing in a little bit of head voice, not having it be completely thyroid as you go up, but letting a little bit of head voice come into it. What they're all doing though is making it so chesty. There's a little mix, but I don't know if it's enough to make this kind of singing sustainable for a long show if you're doing this every single song. If this is just like a one-off thing that he's going into, I think that's a lot easier because most of the people I've heard do have pretty good foundations. It just feels like they're going away from them, going to extreme sounds really often. Love it. Love it. Mixed down into her chest. Super connected. Super easy. Nice. What? Yeah, that one wasn't very much effort. That was really nice. I like it because he just let this small little twangy sound carry, and then the microphone did all of the work. So he just made this small little sound, found the tone that he wanted, and then didn't rely on himself to try to project it to 100,000 people. That's the temptation really often, is when you go to high notes thinking that you have to work to make this happen. But it's actually the opposite. The less hard that you try, the easier they usually are. I loved that ping to his voice though. It was a very forward, twangy sound. Nice. Nice. It doesn't sound hard as she ascends. That's one of the main things that I listen for when I'm listening for voices, is when you go up to some higher notes, or when you're approaching those higher notes, does it sound like you're engaging? Does it sound like you're preparing for it? With her, it doesn't sound like that. It just sounds like she's like, oh yeah, here's this nice high note. I'm gonna let this work out. I think that's mostly for show. Again, just mostly because you can't pull pure chest voice up all the way to a C without blowing out your voice. Like, it would sound so compressed, and it doesn't. So I feel like he is putting on most of this effort just for show. So he knows what he's doing. Their accent, like, everyone consistently says instead of o or ah. When they go to whoa, they go whoa. When they go to ah, they go to whoa. And it's slightly flavored in each of those, in that you round your lips a little bit for o, or it's a little bit more ah colored. But the fundamental vowel that they're doing is whether that's from their accent or from something that people are teaching them, I don't know, but it's a really nice thing. That schwa vowel just makes singing easier. They are all pretty consistently using that vowel through these clips. Nice. Yeah, and that little bit of movement, she can do that little bit of movement with it all day. It's not a challenge singing that, and once you get used to what it feels like to sing that well, like she has, it's a pretty consistent airflow, pretty consistent vowel, and pretty consistent chord resistance. Once you get used to that, you can move around a little bit and be completely fine, because you know what to expect. Your body knows how much air you're gonna need, and so you won't overexert yourself with dancing. And even if you do start overexerting yourself with dancing, it's a very reliable feeling how to sing like that. It's kind of hard to throw out. So you can make the sound while moving around all you want. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Share with your friends if you think that they would learn anything from this video. Go head over to my website, vocalease.net, if you're interested in signing up for voice lessons.